North Wilkesboro Speedway is back. Jeff Gordon's 2007 Flame Scheme will return to the track at Darlington in a few weeks. And is Bristol Dirt here to stay? Sunday night's race got pretty good TV ratings. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. I hope your week is off to a fantastic start. We've got a lot of stories to touch on, lots of things to react to today. I want to begin by looking at some exciting new and old paint schemes. Yesterday, Noah Gragson revealed this Wendy's number 62 Chevrolet that he'll run this weekend at Talladega in the Cup race. I normally don't spotlight random paint schemes like this one, but this one stood out to me because Wendy's is a big, recognizable brand. I love that Noah Gragson put out this short Twitter video of him designing his own Frosty flavor. Pretty much everyone's had a Frosty from Wendy's at some point in their life, so it's good to see recognizable consumer brands in the NASCAR Cup Series. And Wendy's has been around the sport in recent years. I can't remember the exact graphic, but I remember seeing a chart maybe for last year, looking at companies that spent the most on commercials during NASCAR races. Wendy's was in the mix, other fast food like Sonic, I think KFC was also among the top ad spenders. But it's cool to see Wendy's now with the team on a race car. And Noah Gragson, I hope this is real, but this helmet design he posted, the pigtails, I like it. My friend Darian on Twitter posted this. The last time Wendy's was a primary sponsor in NASCAR was back in the 90s with Stanton Barrett. This is a classic scheme, looks great. I love the new Wendy's look as much as the next guy, but those classic colors, man, that's my childhood right there. Eating chicken nuggets, sipping my small kid-sized Frosty on a Sunday afternoon. That was me growing up. Anyway, speaking of old schemes, they finally done it. The throwback race is just a couple weeks away. The Goodyear 400 at Darlington. Mother's Day weekend, I'll be there doing some pretty cool stuff. I'm really excited for it, but I'm also excited for all the throwback paint schemes. Yeah, I know the door number is now gonna be slid forward and it's gonna mess with a lot of these classic paint schemes, but some will still shine, like this one that William Byron revealed today. Finally, the blue and red Flame Scheme gets the spotlight once again. This is the scheme that Jeff Gordon raced in 2007. A fantastic statistical year for Jeff, even though he did not win the championship that year. This isn't the clearest photo, and I know it's just a rendering, so I'll be curious to see how the blue and the red really look under the sun. But I'll at least say that the slid forward door number doesn't really ruin this paint scheme for me. You can still tell exactly what it is. It's Jeff Gordon through and through. I like it. We'll obviously talk more and more about throwback schemes as we get closer and closer to the throwback race, but I just wanted to spotlight that one. It was a pleasant surprise this morning. Anyway, let's talk about some actual NASCAR news. Well, not NASCAR news exactly, at least not yet. We haven't talked about this yet on the show, but last week, Saturday afternoon, Speedway Motorsports held a press conference at Bristol Motor Speedway and announced a revitalization, a revival they call it, a racetrack revival of the one and only North Wilkesboro Speedway. We've seen renderings in recent months. The state of North Carolina gave them $18 million to renovate, but this is the first we've heard of an actual plan to resume racing at the historic facility. The facility that the Cup Series hasn't raced at since 1996, a track that's been pretty much abandoned for more than a decade. The plan is to resume racing on that old North Wilkesboro surface in August with street stock, super late models, late model stocks, modifieds, you name it. Then in September, they're gonna tear up the old pavement and race on dirt in October. They're gonna bring in sprint cars, dirt late models, you name it, to race there in October. So Wilkesboro will turn into a dirt track for a temporary time. And then next year, in time for 2023, the entire racing surface will be repaved. So I guess the plan is for it to remain an asphalt track, but they're putting down all new asphalt between this year and next. Marcus Smith from Speedway Motorsports said that, there are no NASCAR plans currently on the horizon, but he reiterated that a Camping World Truck Series race is very possible in the not so distant future. He said 2024 would be the earliest we'd see potentially a truck race at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Obviously that would be really, really cool. I still don't think the Cup Series will probably ever return to North Wilkesboro Speedway outside of maybe some sort of all-star exhibition event. I have no idea. I think even that's a long shot, but it's cool to see North Wilkesboro Speedway have an actual plan. Again, like racing, well, they're gonna race there this year. Like North Wilkesboro Speedway will sanction actual races in the next few months. That's crazy, that's awesome. I don't have the same nostalgic connection to North North Wilkesboro that many other fans have. They stopped racing there before I was even born. But even I see the history. I hear the way guys like Dale Earnhardt Jr. talk about this track, the reverence so many drivers, so many longtime racers have for the facility. It's great to see it being revived. I mean, that's what they're calling it, the Racetrack Revival Program. Who knows if we'll ever see actual NASCAR National Series races there once again. But either way, it's the revival of a once great short track. We love short tracks. I hope it's successful. I hope North Wilkesboro is here to stay. It's here for the long haul. 2, 3, 4 years ago, this would have been a pipe dream. But after iRacing, Dale Jr. and company went over there and cleaned the facility and broadcast the virtual version of the track on national TV for over 1 million people to see, the ball's just been rolling faster and faster and faster. And finally, it almost seemed inevitable at some point, North Wilkesboro Speedway has a plan to resume racing here in the next few months. I think that's really cool. Hopefully this revival is truly successful. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. You probably already read it, you already heard the news, but I wanted to share my thoughts at least. Now let's talk about Bristol Dirt one final time, at least for this year, because as I mentioned in my post-race review a couple nights ago, unlike last year, Bristol Motor Speedway did not begin selling tickets for the next annual dirt race. They've been very quiet about the possibility of another NASCAR Bristol Dirt weekend, but the TV ratings are in, and the TV ratings seem to suggest another Bristol Dirt experiment is on the horizon. Adam Stern reported this morning that Fox earned 4.007 million viewers for Sunday night's Bristol Dirt Race, the most watched NASCAR event of any kind at Bristol Motor Speedway since spring 2016. We don't see that kind of increase very often. Now, we also haven't seen many Bristol spring or night races on broadcast television. Many of these races have been on cable, which typically lead to lower viewership, but still, 4 million viewers tuning into this year's Bristol Dirt Race despite some red flags. Despite it being on Easter, NASCAR's first Easter race in years, people tuned in. Bob Pockris, of course, works for Fox Sports, tweeted these numbers out as well. The Bristol Dirt Race drew an average of 4.007 million viewers and peaked at 4.518 million at the end of the second stage, prior to the rain delay. Compared to some recent Sunday afternoon Fox race telecasts this year, Richmond had 3.95 million, Coda 3.73, Atlanta 4.003 million, and Phoenix 3.991 million. So not only was Bristol a huge increase over last year's Bristol Dirt, which was run on a Monday afternoon, so that's not surprising, an increase over other Bristol races from the last few years, this was also one of the most viewed races of the 2022 season. Which, I mean, usually we have to wait another week until Talladega to get kind of that early season jumps, after Daytona. Bristol Dirt delivered this year. I don't think there's any other way to slice it. Now, I have no way to know if NASCAR executives are internally happy about that number, if maybe they're hoping for a little bit more. I don't know for sure, but it seems to be ticking all the right boxes. If I had to guess, I think Bristol Dirt will return next year, likely on Easter weekend once again, because that's the other thing. Maybe NASCAR looks at this as a win for Easter racing, not so much a win for dirt. I doubt it, but putting dirt on Bristol, cleaning dirt off Bristol twice a year is expensive. Maybe NASCAR does abandon dirt and decides to just keep racing on Easter, see that as a big ratings win, but I doubt it. I think Bristol Dirt on Easter will return next season. That's my early prediction. What this tells me is that many fans like seeing NASCAR drivers and teams forced out of their comfort zone every once in a while. I think if we did this every week, it would get old very quickly. These are highly trained athletes who've been working their whole life refining a very particular set of skills to race in the NASCAR Cup Series, and throwing all that out the window to race on some unique style of track every week, that, I think that's disrespecting all the years of training they've put into it. All the years of research and development and engineering and innovation that the teams have put into it as well. So what this tells me is that Bristol Dirt has succeeded in being that one special night a year where most typical conventional NASCAR beliefs kind of go out the window. No live pit stops, no asphalt, breaks to prep the track, obviously a very different style of racing with very different driving skills in play. I think this proves that that's resonated with a large portion of the NASCAR fan base. There's obviously a very outspoken group of fans who are against NASCAR racing on dirt or are against Bristol Motor Speedway being turned into a dirt track. You name it, and I sympathize with some of those arguments. Like I said earlier this past week, I don't love that we had to sacrifice sacrifice a Bristol Motor Speedway date to turn it into a dirt track, but I can't deny I was intrigued going into this year's dirt race, and as I said Sunday night, I thought this race was pretty good. What I thought was really interesting was after the race, many drivers, some dirt regulars, guys who are tremendous dirt racers in other disciplines, as well as some non-dirt guys, they seem to kind of change their tune and almost come around on this whole thing. Like Kyle Larson, who a few days ago was somewhat critical of NASCAR's decision to race on dirt, especially with windshield still on the car. He said after Sunday's race that it was fun. It felt like a dirt race. Kyle Busch was very negative a week ago, saying that NASCAR should cut the cord. Dirt takes the sport back. He said, after winning of course, there were some bright spots for sure. I don't know if the good outweighed the bad. He argued that we may need breaks throughout the race to keep prepping the track and that fans may not like that, but even Kyle Busch there, not completely negative on it. He even had something kind of positive to say. Chase Briscoe said, I thought there at the end you couldn't put on a better race from a dirt track standpoint in these cars, so hopefully that sold more tickets for next year and gives it an opportunity to come back, because if we keep doing this at night, I think the opportunity to put on a good race is there. I don't know, a week ago, most drivers who were asked seemed to have only negative things to say about NASCAR racing on a dirt track, specifically Bristol dirt. Now, after Sunday night's race, despite the rain delays, which in some ways may have helped with track prep, it sounds like many drivers are a little more okay with the idea of coming back here next year. Now, the question of racing on Easter is still, I think, in the back of everyone's minds. NASCAR's a very family-oriented sport. It's a religious sport. I mean, NASCAR does do a prayer before every Cup Series race that's televised. So racing on a major holiday like Easter isn't going to sit right with every fan, isn't going to sit right with everyone in the garage, especially the crew guys who have to be away from their families for extended periods of times. That's a whole other debate, but from an industry standpoint, if the ratings are high, which they were this year, and if the action on track is good, which I think for most of Sunday night's race it was, I think everyone's gonna have to tough it out. I think NASCAR is gonna stick with it if they deem it's working. I don't know how I feel. I don't want to keep repeating myself. I'm glad NASCAR has a dirt race on the Cup schedule. I think one dirt race a year is a great idea. These cars, even though they're not perfect, there are still obvious changes they can make before next year's race if it comes back. Get rid of the windshields would probably be chief among them. But even with the windshields this year, it was a good race. It really showcases the versatility of these cars and of these drivers. Kyle Busch is not a dirt guy, at least not historically, and yet he went out and won. He got a little lucky, yeah, but he won. It says a lot about his natural driving ability and adaptability, and I just think it says a lot about the industry that we can race on a road course one week, a big 2.5 mile super speedway the next, inside a football stadium the next week, and then a dirt track the week after. Like, I don't know of any other major motorsport that does anything like that. So I think NASCAR can hang its hat on this Bristol dirt event. In my perfect world, it wouldn't be at Bristol. I'd rather us go to a purpose-built dirt track, or maybe even if we have to put dirt on a different short track, like maybe Richmond. But Bristol it is, I guess. More people showed up to this race in the stands than in any spring Bristol race I can remember the last couple of years. Still wasn't a huge crowd by any means, but still better than recent years. Ratings were great. Who am I to argue with results? I don't have to like all the results, but I can still acknowledge that good results are good results. So whatever it takes to grow the sport, if I have to lose one of my concrete Bristol dates permanently, I won't sleep great at night knowing that, but I'll live. Overall, I want the sport to be healthy, and if fans are excited and intrigued about one Bristol dirt race a year, who am I to get in the way of that? Anyway, those are just my thoughts. Share your thoughts down in the comment section below. We talked about an awful lot here today. Some paint schemes, North Wilkesboro, dirt racing. Of course, I think we're done talking about Bristol dirt, at least until next year. I look forward to hearing all of your responses, whether you agree or disagree. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We talk NASCAR almost every single day here on Out of the Groove. You're not going to miss any future uploads. And as always, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys go above and beyond and help keep this show growing. I truly appreciate it. We'll be back later this week. Lots to talk about. We have a live stream tomorrow night. I think we're having at least one driver on the show this week. Lots going on here at Out of the Groove. I'm excited to share with you guys. I'll see you again very, very soon. Have a fantastic rest of your day.